Welcome to the lot. Once again, I'm John Thomas alongside J.E. Cornwell. We are in South Grandview at the lot, and we are currently sitting in a 2016 Grand Design Reflection. And boy, what a wonderful unit you have down here, J.E. A 35-foot unit down here. This is pre-owned. And man, tell us a little bit about where we're at and what we're looking at here.
So you've done some homework.
I have done a little bit.
Okay, so this is a consignment piece. We are a consignment lot, KCRVs. We specialize in consignments. In the recreational business in RVs and boats, it is a popular way to move an RV or boat. Consignments are pretty much like any other lot, a dealership lot, except the owner remains, has the title on it until the unit sells. Consignment is probably in our industry right now one of the best benefits for a seller. The sellers get to kind of stay in control of it, but there's a lot of benefits to it as we've discussed in the past, as we promote on our website and through our medias, some of the advantages. But the most important is who we are and what we have here, and what we provide is a safety feature for them, so they don't have people coming to their homes looking at their RVs and or catching any information from them that they don't want. A lot of times people that will try to sell them themselves, the old standby was call the local newspaper, put in the year, make and model and whatever you wanted for it, or make me an offer. And the web came into play, things like Craigslist, Marketplace. Well, we've all heard the horror stories on some of these things of people coming to houses. So that's probably the first benefit, is even though they're the owner, they a lot of times don't have the time, they're not around when somebody wants to see it. So our first and foremost, as far as a benefit to consignment, is to be able to provide them a lot that is, in this case, we have a security system, which is a 24/7 manned, human manned surveillance. They have both sides of our lot at anytime we're not here. So that feature is probably the biggest thing that we find on the consignment. But there's other things that go into play as far as what we are, most of the dealers right now, especially during this COVID crisis, even dealers that had nothing to do with consignment in the past are now getting involved in consignment and or paying more money for getting consignment RVs on their lot, because they can't get inventory, so they need to fill slots. The consignments, though, for the most part, you have to have a location to put them at, and I think the other best benefit that we have to offer is the financing. Through AMPR, I'm affiliated with just about every national and local recreational lender, so that creates a bigger pool. An individual trying to sell it, he's going to require that individual go to his bank or to secure his own funds to pay him. This gives that buyer an opportunity to come and look at this trailer, be able to make an offer on it, and then be able to qualify for financing on it, and we handle all that right here.
Okay, so this specific model that we're in here today, the 2016 Grand Design, 10,297 pounds, has a 60-gallon fresh water tank, 43-gallon black water capacity, a water heater capacity of 6 gallons, sleeps up to 6, has 3 slide outs, has an awning, air conditioner. The air conditioning BTU, 16,000, furnace BTUs, 35,000. Has the bunk over the cab, front bathroom, front bedroom, rear entertainment, rear living area, mid kitchen, auto leveling system, DVD player, flat panel TV, microwave oven, an oven with a range, pass-through storage, power awning, roof ladder, shower, sleeper, jack sofa, wardrobe closet, another sofa, floor ducted heating, LED lighting, power converter, skylights, and theater seats. Those are some of the features to this particular.
I'll buy it. How much?
Yeah, just a mere $44,900, which isn't bad, I wouldn't say.
Do you guys finance?
We will finance. We finance it all. Some of the interesting things we listed about this, which you can find common on some of these, the awnings outside I think are very interesting. You can actually just push a button. That thing rolls out 10, 12 feet, and you got some shade attached right to the side of your RV. This is a very nice unit, J.E.
Indeed. Nice research, John. That was a great spill. Where'd you get that?
Well, off your website,
Oh, nice.
which I will admit is chopped full of information. If you want to go check out our new inventory, our used inventory, you can go to kcrvs.com and get a look at that.
Excellent.
But, we both met with the individual that brought this unit to the lot.
Gary, yep.
Gary, a good guy. We talked a little bit about, in our last podcast that everybody has their reasons for either selling or buying a unit. Gary, his case, he's been into this. He's been into RVing for a long time. He's been around the country. This is it wasn't his first RV, but Gary got a little bit, he's got a few health issues that he had. It was time to let this thing go. So one person's loss is another person's gain. We get a lot of times, as a consignment lot, we want to help the seller get the most money they can possibly get, because a lot of times you'll get folks that, heck, I could go sell this on Craigslist and make $50,000. Well, we're going to list it for $44,900. And some people feel that there's like a little bit of contentiousness between what you get on Craigslist or get on the lot. Talk with us a little bit, J.E., about the advantages of not doing that on Craigslist and letting somebody else deal with those problems. For instance, you're getting free rent when you bring your vehicle here and you set it out on our lot. Talk about some more of the advantages for scrapping that Craigslist idea and coming to a consignment lot.
So, Craigslist is probably old school anymore in recreational selling. Still ideal for cars, autos, trucks, those types of things. But in the rec world, probably the biggest component that we have to offer for anybody is our website. Our website, as you well know, is a dealer's website, meaning we have access, or actually our networks have access to all of the things we do. So to touch on your Craigslist, though, it offers you to go into Craigslist, post a comment about it, check a couple of things of what it is, put on 4 to 6 photos and, put it and then post it. If you're an individual, you can do that for free. So, well, as this camper, as you well know, 4 to 6 photos would not do it any benefit. So when it comes in here, Andrea, our BDC manager, she comes in with her digital camera and she goes to town. She'll get all the photos. She'll take anywhere from 50 to 60. We try to post anywhere around 20, 22 photos on certainly the larger stuff. And what that does is once she posts it to our website, it goes out to our Facebook, our Instagram. It automatically goes to RV Trader, Auto Trader, RVs. It goes into some of the networks that we're associated with. We're networked with some of the campground sites, a KOA. We're also networked in several manufacturers' networks, which are just community-based. They are owners of the campers. And that, I'm telling you, gets us more interest than just about anything, with the exception of them coming on the lot. But as far as, a Craigslist seller, they're not going to get a whole lot of activity from that. If they're trying to price it, you got some of these guys that are selling their campers, they have no idea. They just have got an idea, what they paid for it, with a little bit of depreciation, what they think they can get out of it. Then you got another guy who's savvy enough to know that, okay, let's just punch into Google what I've got and let's see what comes up. And that guy, he is going to know the high and the low of something that's available. And to preface that, though, with that seller in the RV world, they'll travel 300 miles to pick up an RV, right? So I mean, in 300 miles from Kansas City, you can travel a long ways to pick up something. So with that guy, he's now checked the internet, so he may have a price from Philadelphia. He may have a price from Oregon, you know. So, and in fact, an NADA guide, which is the value report in our industry, it's done in sections of the country because of that. You know, what sells in the Midwest at a price based on, you know, different components may be a different price on the West Coast or the East Coast or even down in the Southwest. So these are things that come into play. Those guys that have done their research, they come in here and they talk to us. They say, okay, well, here's what we want. I absolutely want to get them everything that we can, because in consignment, we charge a fee. We want to give them the best pricing that will sell, but we want to make some money too. So based on our commission that is placed, you know, in front of the seller in the beginning, he knows exactly what it is that he's going to pay us to sell this camper. So as far as a consignment goes, when we have a seller that knows kind of where he wants to be, he comes in here, we'll pull that NADA guide. That guide will tell us exactly where we want to be. The banks are going to be the final say, and so we have basically an unrealistic price. It's a retail price, and then we have a wholesale or trade-in value, or more importantly, a bank value. So we want to be somewhere in the middle. And if that's where that guy is thinking, then we've got a deal. We've got somewhere to start. The seller always gets first right of refusal. If a guy walks in here and he says, I'll give you $38,000 for this $45,000 rig, I mean, that's unrealistic. That's not gonna cut the mustard. But if we got a guy that comes in here and he says, listen, I love these, I've been looking at them, I know this is priced right, do you think your seller would pay or would take, you know, 41 or 42, something in that range, and we're definitely calling the owner and we're going to say, hey, listen, we've got a guy on the lot, he's serious about this camper, he knows what he's getting into, he knows the camper. I'll take a commitment from the buyer, either by a deposit, or if he wants to finance, he'll do a finance application that qualifies him and that qualifies that offer to the seller. A lot of times the seller, if it's a new consignment piece, the seller may think, wow, you know, we've already got this offer, maybe we hold out for the next one. As you said about this camper with Gary, you know, he's got some medical issues. He wants to dump it. You know, he wants the burden off. He wants the, you know, the financing for it. You know, he is got a loan against it, so he wants to get that kind of taken care of. So we know he's a motivated seller, but we still want to get him the most money that we can. And that's why I think when a consignment seller comes to us and says, this is what I got, can you help me? And this is how we lay it out for them.
I know I compare what we're doing to Craigslist quite a bit because it's a very popular platform. People are also going to go use their Facebook. They're going to try to find different avenues to sell their own equipment and their own RVs. But there's an idea from a seller that if I sell it myself, I'm going to get so much more money out of this thing, and I'm not going to have to pay my money to these consigners. But one thing, or a few things to keep in mind. One, you're not a qualified RV salesman when you're doing it on Craigslist. People are going to call you. They're going to want to see it. You're going to have to take time away from your day. You're going to make arrangements. As they say, time is money. Down here at KCRVs, we do have a sales staff that can come out, demo these things for people that are potential buyers. As well, before we ever put them out for sale, we're going to clean these up. We're going to get them looking good. We're going to take care of any imperfections. You know, we're going to work on that for them. And time is money. Talk a little bit about that. Talk about having professionals that are going to expose this product, like we said in our previous show, to 81,000 people a day that drive by our lot. How valuable is that to not have to touch it yourself?
I think as far as Craigslist is concerned, I always found it amazing that people would want to sell something on Craigslist, and something that a high dollar items such as this and then not want to give their phone number. I mean, I find that is just incredibly crazy to people want to sell it and put it on a platform that can, generate some interest, but they're afraid to put their phone number on there or afraid for people to come to their house. So I think you touched on that there. That's exactly right. I would say the biggest element that we have is the time. We're here every day, Tuesday through Saturday. This store is open. So there is a salesman here to talk about this camper to any qualified buyer versus if putting it on Craigslist. If you're a working stiff and you got a 9 to 5 or a 7 to 11 or 11 to 7, whatever that looks like, you don't have the time. So you're trying to make time then to sell it. So I think time is the difference between what we do here and something like Craigslist, even Marketplace, which...
And Craigslist is looking for a very specific buyer. Some of these that you do on your own, you're looking for a very specific person and you're hoping that your message somehow crosses their desk or comes through somehow and that they actually find that. But what we're able to do for people that are buying, when you come in, you can get financed right here on the lot through AMPR. How much does that open up the actual market to people who want to buy your product?
Well, that's huge. I mean, if you think about a qualified buyer, a qualified credit buyer is now a captive customer, because if you're trying to sell it on your own, and there's still RV lots that are out there in today's world that don't have financing, that don't have a finance service. They don't have, it's bring me a check from your bank or, wire it into my account kind of deal. Same thing applies with that. If they come on this lot and they find something that they want and we qualify them on the financing side of it, I mean, now what I say is I've created, instead of half of the pool, I've got the whole pool of customer base that I can, show this camper to. And I think that's big.
Are you just limited to RVs on consignment here?
No, actually, I have taken in some boat consignments. Took in a pontoon boat. I am a boater, so I like boats. And the guy has a boat that he wants to try to consign. I'll do it. A lot of times, though, I've got a friend of mine at Lake of the Ozarks who is, he's a dry dock dealer, meaning that he will take boats out of the water and he'll put them on a lot and he'll sell them. Every now and again, he'll have one that's sat on his lot a while and he'll want to move it up here. We did that last year. But same thing with the power sports. Power sports are very popular. Our KC Motorsports, we have a lot of the new stuff, but a lot of guys, they're, whatever has happened in their life, they want to get out of it and they need help selling it. So we'll consign that as well.
So taken from what you said, if I hear you correctly, you have an opportunity through consignment as both a buyer and a seller, whether you come here to purchase one or for us to sell it for you, you can get a good deal either way, whether you're selling or buying. We talked about it briefly in our other episode. It's both a buyer's and a seller's market in the RV industry right now. I'm trying to understand that. I'm trying to wrap my head around how it can be both. Can you help me understand how it can be both?
To determine what makes a buyer's market or a seller's market, just like in the real estate business, I mean, when the market fluctuates is based on people aren't buying. So then the sellers have to lower their price. So that means it's a buyer's market because the sellers are having to give up a little bit. So in this world we're living in right now with COVID, because of the people that are now attracted to camping, attracted to buying the campers, they want to get out. So we now have this large base of customers, but at the same time, we also have the manufacturers that are selling these, and there are a couple of variables that come into play. The first is, of course, the tariffs. The tariffs have hurt the wreck business as far as supply chains go. So the cost of products have gone up, the cost of putting them together have gone up. So they have not dropped their prices to appease to the other end of that spectrum. So that means they're still getting almost sticker price for theirs, and they still have a large customer base in which to sell it to. So a buyer's and a seller's market.
Interesting point that you made. Products, materials, things that go into making these units, hard to get right now. To get a newly manufactured RV or trailer, it's going to take a while for them to get your order, actually get the materials to build these things, then to get them shipped to you. It could take a while. But on the other hand, with consignment, here's the material, here's the product, it's already been purchased. It might be sitting in your barn right now or in a storage unit somewhere. So it's a perfect opportunity to fill that gap where the newly created models aren't available. But here we are with some great used models, such as this Grand Design Reflection right here. What an interesting time that we're in.
Indeed. I mean, it's not just the manufacturers that are the sellers. Like you said, it is the individuals who become the sellers. So that buyer's seller's market, so to speak, is good for them as well. So, and you'll find that with certainly in the car industry right now. You've got the car industry that is, chasing their tail trying to get inventory. All the major manufacturers were, over 100 days down. And once they got back up, they had all these rules and regulations to get stuff out before they could even get into, the second and the third shifts of manufacturing. So what's happened in the car industry is kind of trickling down and through every industry, but the same things are, you got new car dealers right now that are looking on Craigslist, looking on Marketplace to go find inventory because they got these huge lots that have no cars in them. So, all they can find is what's already built, what's already out in the marketplace, and they're getting them and they're putting them on the lot and they're selling them. Now, some of the car industry they're catching up a little bit, and I think the RV industry as well as the boat industry will also start to catch up towards the end of the year. The biggest problem we're having, and I think that's why the consignment business has sparked so much. Not that it's new, there's been consignment for a long time. You could take that old shoe right there and put it in a consignment shop. So consignment's going around for a long time, but in our industry, in the RV industry, it's peaked because I think people know that they can go pick up these consignments at a reasonable price, and not just the financing or not having a salesman, not all of those things go into play, but people are aware that they can go buy these at good prices at these lots like ours. And I think with consignments though, in our industry, you have dealers that have never wanted to get into consignment for a couple reasons, because most of them didn't have the room. They probably had a dozen manufacturers that, or a dozen brands from manufacturers that were filling their lot. They didn't even really like to deal in trades. And if they dealt in trades, they took the trade, got a fairly decent price on it, and probably took it to the auction. These guys are now filling them. There's a couple of large dealers here in town that are, one of which is a national. The other one has been in town for a long time. And you'll find that in the past, they had inventory because they sold a ton of RVs, both in the travel trailers, which are your fifth wheels and your bumper pulls, and in your motorized, which are your Class A, Class B, and Class C. So we have one out in Gardner, Kansas, one of the largest ones in the Kansas City metro area, and it was packed. And so you open up a camper with like this camper that we're sitting in, it has opposing slides, so it will create a larger living space. So when you're on a lot, you will go, and you can't go down the sides of these campers. You're going down a lot in front of them because they put these campers side to side. Well, now you drive by this particular dealership and they've got them spread like 10 feet apart, just so they've got this huge lot that they're paying a lot of money for, and so they're spreading out their inventory. Same problem. But they're also getting into the consignment business as well because they need to sell RVs.
So what I'm gathering is I'm not going to get much on consignment for my old shoe.
There's a smell factor that you know
Yeah,
about.
well, and the process of getting my shoe listed on consignment could be a pretty heavy deal.
Yeah.
They're going to ask a lot of questions. They're going to want to know specifics about where it's been. But with an RV, it's actually a little bit more simple than that. I've been on the lot now for about a month, I'd say. I wasn't sure myself how it worked when I got here. There were a couple of units out here. And then somebody comes in. They talk to you for just a few moments. And before you know it, there's some paperwork moving around. You hear a few yeses. And within an hour or so, their unit is on the lot. It's really not that complex of a process, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. The process, we try to make it simple because it's a big move for people. It's a big thing for them, something that they spend a lot of time, spend a lot of money in purchasing. So, to let it go for whatever reason, I think, as far as consignments goes like that, we want to be as simple as we can.
As painless as could be
Painless.
for the
Painless is a
consignment.
good word, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we actually have one of your very first consignment job just pulled in today.
Yep.
Out of the blue.
John Gowan has become a friend of mine, and he has wanted to see one of these things. So
well, let's bring him in here.
That's why.
Where's he
So
at?
we'll go get him.
Okay. We're here joined by John Gowan. John actually was the first consignment customer for JE on his new business venture. So I think when JE hits his $1 million mark, you're at least at bare minimum getting a plaque.
Right.
So I hope you're happy about that.
Wait a minute. No.
Absolutely.
The plaques are a rarity these days. But John, we're just kind of talking about the process. What actually brought you into the lot? How'd you get into RVing? What was your situation? What brought you here?
Oh, I mean, quick, easy phone call, spoke with him down at some of the show a little bit and just hit it off great with him, and felt like, that's where I wanted to make my purchase come later. And, I had one I wanted to get rid of, so he was the guy to do it. He could handle both scenarios, and I was very happy to do that.
So it was a very high pressure situation. JE wouldn't leave you alone. He kept bugging you.
It wasn't too bad like that.
Yeah,
No.
good.
It was pretty good.
It's actually kind of the opposite. We're kind of laid back here. This isn't like other things that you may find yourself in a sales situation where somebody's really hard pitching you to buy it. When you're talking about an RV, it's something very specific, catered to just yourself. I'm sure it was very comfortable for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Very comfortable. Made it just a joy, really. Everything went smooth from start to finish. When it come to consigning and selling, everything went great. Brought it in, gone in a month. It was great.
Fantastic.
Couldn't go wrong.
So you got everything you were needing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it is interesting. What was it that you brought to the lot?
I brought a toy hauler, a 40-foot toy hauler in. That I had for a little while, just to see if I was liking the whole toy hauler option, versus my old horse trailers that I mess with. So it was a good fit for me. But then I just bought one to see how I liked it, and time to upgrade.
John's he's a trail guy, a toy enthusiast like I am. So he has several side by sides. What's the new one?
Yamaha YXE.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah.
that's a giddy up right there.
Yeah.
That'll climb some hills. So with the toy haulers like he had, in the early days, what year was that? A 12?
16.
The one you consigned?
The trailer was a 5.
Oh, 05. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was an older one. So in the older models on the toy haulers, they had majority of them. I think the largest garage you could get on a toy hauler was 12 foot. A lot of them didn't even have that.
Right.
What was
11?
It was 11. So, and in today's world with the Razors, the Yamahas, the Can-Ams, I mean, they're 13, 14 feet. And so you need something to put, they got 15-foot garages. And of course, then we found his perfect toy hauler. But it was fun. It took us a while, actually. It was easier to sell the consignment than it was to find what you were wanting.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we did. And we found it in the city and actually from another dealer.
Yes.
And we went and got it from him. And
like you said, the older ones were a little tight fit with garages, and that's kind of where I was at with that one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it
Pain in the ass taking those tires off, right?
It was almost a squeeze to get the get it all in there. So yeah, that was kind of one of the scenarios, and the rest was just my pleasure as far as the trailer wise.
Sure.
What I liked and what I didn't like. Showers are always a big thing. We all get older. So you don't want a bathtub when when you start getting up in your 40s. You want to walk in. So
indeed. Yes.
So there's options for us too. It wasn't just for the toys. It was always for us too. So.
Have you been in the new StarCraft that's next door?
Yes, very nice.
And so, are you ready to make the big leap?
Absolutely not. No, sir. Too much battery work for me. Nice, very nice trailer, but wow, exceptional as far as running everything off a battery is pretty amazing.
Mean,
you got your HVAC unit being a home unit in an RV. That's impressive on its own.
I know, right?
So,
oh my gosh,
it's running off a heat pump and everything. That's impressive. So.
And yesterday he was saying he ran that whole thing. They got to only 50%.
That's impressive.
And I mean, you could have walked in there. He had the AC units at just freezer cold.
Gosh.
And I mean, and by the end of the day, I mean, he was here at like 7 a.m. and left at 6, and they were still over 50%.
How amazing.
I know, right?
Yeah. Totally amazing.
So one of the things that really attracted you to doing business with JE was, of course, he's a fancy dresser.
No, of course.
We know that's true.
Absolutely.
But also, you guys found a lot of common ground. I think you both are as interested in the process of actually getting out and playing in these toys. You're both equally as much up on top of that stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You find that was where the comfort level was the human connection that you had?
Yeah. I mean, like you say, personability and pleasure to sit there and talk to, just. You're not just touching on, hey, I want to talk about my finances, We're going to sit here and talk of, you've been over here to this park, that's the kind of, or hey, this campground over here is freaking awesome. I was just there last week. That's what's great, to talk to someone that knows exactly where you're at and where you're from,
Where was it the big RV show at Bartle, right?
Yeah, it was at Bartle.
When you came up,
Yep.
And I had my office in the back of a toy hauler,
in the
right?
back of a toy hauler. That's exactly
right. So that of course led into our four-wheelers and the toys and stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, so we definitely bonded on that. But I think with both RVs and motorsports, obviously we're better equipped to. Not just knowledge-wise, but just to have a conversation with somebody if you're out there and enjoying the same things that they are. So,
that's exactly.
And I grew up camping, and I love to get out and climb the trails. And one of these days, we're going to go down to the Little Sierra and get in the sand. That's my goal.
Absolutely, and it's a joy to know that it ain't just for toy haulers ain't just to put your toys in the back. Being outdoor enthusiasts, we love our kayaks, we love our bicycles. I mean, it's you're full adventure.
Right on.
That's what kind of hit it off,
A lot of the customers we get here are either upgrading. Some of them are downgrading. They feel like they've actually, the kids have moved out, or maybe they're not as limber enough to drive the toys anymore. Yeah. So do you, I don't think the spacecraft is for you, but do you foresee yourself trading up or going to a different model? Do you see yourself expanding down the line?
Oh, absolutely. Like he touched on the base of everything growing as far as garages. Absolutely, because I need more room. We got to put more toys in there and have more fun, you know what I mean? So I need more room to put two of them back to back, or either get my kayak and my side-by-side in there, so it's all good.
Awesome.
Do you need to look?
No.
Oh.
Well, I mean, we're here to look. No, that's fine.
Oh, come on in.
That's all right. I can always.
Do you want to get on camera?
Or is looking to buy. I love the floor plan on this one, though. This is really cool.
Yeah, I love these rear livings on these,
Yeah, and I've never seen anything quite like that over there. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, we'll be done here in a few minutes, so you can really take a look. So thanks a lot.
And I think I owe you money for coming in and giving us the perfect segue. Thank you.
Wrap this up.
I remember that,
Yeah, you just get a random customer coming in talking about the exact same thing that we were just talking about.
Right.
Because once you're in this lifestyle, and once you get out and you get the taste of the outdoors and you get that freedom, you're always looking for the next thing to kind of make it a little bit easier, or to get to your
absolutely.
destination a little bit quicker, or to be able to stay in that unit a little bit longer before you have to go put fresh water in
That's
it.
exactly right.
That's
And
great.
you always have the option of the toy haulers and your kids, you know, because you always got a door in between the garage and the inside living, so you always have a space for the kids if you want to go that route.
Needed space.
Yeah, lockdown.
Lockdown.
Quarantine.
Space. There you go.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
sir.
Well, I think there's a commonality that you all find, you know, the old saying that the struggle is real. If you're carrying a fifth wheel down the road and you see another guy in a fifth wheel, you're like, oh, I know his struggle. I know what he went
Yeah.
through. And it's the same
Yeah.
way that motorcycle drivers, when they're going by each other, will lower their arm and say, hey, how's it going, buddy? Because I understand that this could be the end of your life around this curb because somebody mowed loose lawn clippings onto the road. So the struggle's real. They recognize that. And I think the RV community or the outdoor community kind of has that common bond, loading this thing up, getting it there, keeping the kids safe, having enough food. But everybody knows what it's like to get to the campsite and have left, you know, the most important aspect of their camping trip.
That's exactly right. You forget the jack and you can't get the tires off to change the paddles from the dirt tires.
Or we left the kids at home again. What
We
a
forgot the
shame.
kids. I mean, gosh darn it.
Well, John, we appreciate you swinging by the lot today. It was
Absolutely.
good chatting with you.
Yes, sir.
Great having you on, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for
catch you.
coming out.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's been a pleasure. The whole, from start to finish, was just perfect.
Thanks, man.
Well, I like to hear that about me.
Indeed, you're a great guy.
Yes.
All right. Well, we appreciate John. We also absolutely appreciate JE for providing us this lot and the opportunity, you know, to share this with other people. And so I guess that's going to be it on it. We're going to wrap it up talking about consignment. Appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you guys next time that we're out and about.